Hi everyone. I know it is super late, but I am super full. The day has been long. I went to a screening today to see Luther, Never Too Much, directed by Dawn Porter. Dawn Porter has some documentaries under her belt. I don't know if that's the right phrasing, but when I tell you I am so inspired, I was sitting in the theater and I just felt like I was transcending. Like something in me was so inspired that things were being downloaded into my creativity and downloaded into my spirit and my heart, and it was inspiring me to just keep going. Just keep going, keep trying, keep going, keep trying. But before I get into all of that, Luther, Never Too Much. So I had an opportunity to go to a screening today. If you know me, you know I love music. If you don't know me, I love music. I love everything about music. I have an ear. I don't technically like to sing, but I did go to college for that for a little bit. But I love music, and so when I saw the opportunity to see a documentary about Luther Vandross, which, mind you, I had, I want to say it was last year sometime, did like a little faux casting of if they made a biopic of Luther, who I would want to be the stars in this, or who I would cast in it. And by doing that, I stumbled across the book by Craig Seymour, and I ended up purchasing that book, and I was in love with it, in love with the book, but also more and more in love with Luther as I'm learning more and more about him. Luther Vandross, the voice, the talent, the legend, may he rest forever in power and peace. But Craig Seymour's book was called The Life and Longing of Luther Vandross, and I remember thinking, like, they have to start making, they need a movie about this. They need a biopic. And then all of a sudden I start hearing that all these things are in the making. So of course, when I saw that Luther, Never Too Much, which premiered at the 2024 Sundance Film Festival, was coming to Charlotte to be screened, I was like, it was like a random ad maybe that I saw, and I was like, I have to be there. So it was put on today by Sin Odyssey, which is an organization that is going to be doing a film festival in October in Charlotte. Sin Odyssey, follow them, by Trey McGriff. And I went on and I just bought a ticket, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go, and I put it on my calendar, and I was like, I have to be there. So everything in the world was trying to get me to, trying to block the opportunity for me to go to this. I was like, I'm going to be there. I love documentaries. That's two. After music, I love documentaries. I love biopics. I love biographies, autobiography, writing, all of that. So I was like, I have to be there. And it was scheduled for 6 o'clock, and then I got an email from Trey, and he's like, listen, we had so many people interested. We oversold. It is what it is. Can you come in 9:30? And I think he emailed me like 3 times. And I was like, what is this? I mean, maybe they're, I don't know. I was like, I don't think they're meaning to email me. But he messaged me on Facebook. He was like, no, I'm trying to get in touch with you. Can you come in 9:30? I'm like, sure, I can make that work. Works for me. I'll be there. So today I thought I was going to have a me day and be able to do whatever I wanted. But my family was like, nah, we're going to dinner for my cousin's birthday. I digress. So I get to the Independent Picture House. Is that what it's? Independent Picture House. It is right off of Sugar Creek in a newer building. It's the first time I've been there. It is a wonderful little building with three theaters in it. And they have showings of different movies, classics, different things. Look into it. It was my first time going there, and it was so charming. Like, artistically charming. It was nice, neat, organized. The people were great. Parking was good. So I was happy to be there. So long story short, I'm at the screening. I learned a lot because I learned about NGAP. I learned that it is Black Philanthropy Month. It's hard for me to say. That's what happens when you have braces and stuff. Black Philanthropy Month. You gotta say it slow because I think fast and talk fast. Anyway, so again, I made a list of things because I was so full when I walked out of there. I remember at some point in the film, I just started taking notes. Like, I was like, my phone. I try not to take the phone out because I wanted to be in the moment. This is like the closest that I think I will ever be to going to a Luther concert, obviously, because he's passed. But it was so fulfilling to my soul. Like, wow. Some of the things that I put down in my notes, I have my handy dandy note card because I had it in my phone. One, baby, I fell in love with Ava Cherry. I fell in love with Ava Cherry. Ava Cherry, background singer, friend of Luther from the beginning. Now I'm going to have to go down a whole rabbit hole of finding everything about her. Man, I tell you, she was a baddie before baddies knew what they were supposed to be. Baddie. Ava Cherry. Baddie. She came on the film. Baddie still. I digress. Anyway. Following Luther's career, I'm not going to tell you too much about how it all goes, but just following the career, you get the chance to see how like successful he was before even starting his own singing career as the main star and not as a background singer or a writer, composer, producer, any of that. He already has so many successes from just being an overall charming person, being able to sing, being able to compose and put things together, put voices together. And he was on so many different people's albums and in their work in the background. The one of the greatest things that I did not realize was his relationship with David Bowie and being able to see actual footage of them working together. Some of the footage that is in this documentary, I'm like, oh, man, what a privilege and an honor to even be able to look at this, to witness this, and for it to be filmed so that it could be shared. I was elated. Okay. I was like, oh my gosh. You get to see him working with all the artists that you know that he worked with, but then also a lot of artists that like, oh, I never knew that was him on there. I didn't know that was his voice. So I was excited about that part. Some of the other things that really encouraged me was his determination. It was almost like if he wanted it, he worked for it, he got it. Knowing like what you're here for and working for it and being determined about it, and even when life gives you opportunities to go to the left, go to the right, you may go to the left, go to the right, but sticking into your lane when you know exactly like what you're called to do, and even if you don't know exactly what you're called to do, I felt like in this showing or in this documentary, it really showed Luther Vandross growing with his gift, like starting with the inspiration of how he was inspired by Diana Ross and the Supremes. He was inspired by Aretha, Dionne Warwick. Ooh, hope she don't see that and cuss me out. But anyway, Dionne Warwick, how he was inspired by them, and then how his life went full circle to where now he was writing songs for them, he was being featured for them, he's celebrating them and honoring them at award shows, to him becoming an artist where he's at some point being celebrated and honored. We've seen that in our lifetime. So that was something that encouraged me about the screening, and I loved it. I was like just seeing and witnessing his determination, hearing things in his own voice, but also seeing some of the background and some of the context that was provided from his friends, his family, his co-workers, and the people who worked with him in the industry. I thought that was great. Another thing that really stood out for me about this documentary, and it really hit me, was where I felt like I related the most to it as well, besides the love of music, was the whole weight thing. How his weight would go up, his weight would go down, and he hated to talk about it. He hated for it to be a huge topic, and I relate to that. I mean, if you've seen pictures of me, you see there's times I'm up there. There's some times where I slim down. I do have a consistent middle, but at the same time, when it comes to weight, it's something I don't think people understand when you're diabetic. And he was also diabetic, which I related to, is you're always trying to find the best way to manage it all. So there's always a diet. There's always a plan. There's a meal plan. There's a this. There's a that. There is the cause and a reason for most things in a diabetic journey. For me, I have PCOS, so I'm insulin resistant, which means that it's harder for my body to process the insulin. Like, it really just be like, what are you going to do with this? And so then my glucose levels are up. With him, it was, hi, Onyx. With him, it was the same thing. I also related with how he felt like he used food to cope. And I do the same. Like when I'm down and out and I want to be at the house, I'm like, I want to just chill. I love to have my snacks. I love to just, that's like one of my comfort things. It's like, okay, now that I'm eating something, I want to have something sweet. So things like that will happen. And when he said that he copes with food, it's like I definitely could relate to that. And how even like if you're low, if you're stressed, if something's going on with you, you're depressed, it doesn't have to be anything where like super low. You literally could just be like having a bad day, and it's like, now I want my favorite stuff. And already being a diabetic, that's how your weight starts to fluctuate. So I related so much when he was like, I don't want to talk about it. And then when people be like, oh, Big Luther or Little Luther becoming a thing, it's like, can you imagine that every time someone sees you, they're always talking about, oh, you lost weight, or oh, you did this, or you do that. I couldn't either. Now I can, because people do it. What was something else that stood out for me? He talked about his favorite songs. I don't want to give too much of the movie, but he has some favorite songs. But one thing that stood out for me was his relationship with the song Any Love. Baby, when I tell you, go listen to the song. Okay, go listen to the song. I relate. Where it's like you feel like you're so successful in the things that you do, or you feel like you are very much in tune with your purpose in life and you've been successful in certain lanes, but it's like, what about love? Like, what about me, God? You ain't nobody for me. You ain't got nothing in the back for me. I relate a lot to that, where it's just kind of like you feel like you haven't really met your match when it comes to love, and you feel like when you do, it's not the type of love that you deserve. Because you never know people's intentions. So listen to the song Any Love. Pay attention to the words. I was in the theater like near tears. Like, oh my gosh. Thought this. I know it's not a singular thing to want to be loved and be in love and all of that. But also it brought a new meaning to the song Any Love. Because not only was he saying I want to be in love and I want to experience, but at this point, I just want any love, anything. Somebody return it to me. Okay. So I understood that. What's another? All his songs were featured. Well, not all, but a lot of his hits were featured. I didn't realize how successful first 4 albums were, and like how they were like platinum back to back to back to back. But I am a Luther fan, so I'm like everything platinum in my house. But that being highlighted, it shows that how talented he is and was. Wait for Love, that song also was featured when he started singing it. It's almost like the answer to Any Love. You know, you have this feeling of like, Lord, please, I done got everything else, I'm successful, I know how to handle these other things, I'm gonna take care of myself, I'm independent, blah blah blah. And then it's like, Wait for Love comes. Listen to that. Listen to that. Go listen to Wait for Love. Go listen. So anyway, love and relationship was a big thing that came up in the sharing of his story of who he is in his life, and how, of course, there's speculation about his sexuality and what he liked. I love the way it was framed. I love the way his friends and his family and the people in his life protect him at all costs, even after death. I love the way Don allowed it to be covered in this documentary, to where you don't have the answer still, but it's really not important, because is it your business? Respect that. I respect that. I respect that. Okay, so this next part, ooh, baby, when I say relate, it's August 2024. I lost my father August 29th, 2023. So they start talking about in the documentary when Luther Vandross and a co-writer wrote Dance With My Father Again. As soon as it started playing, I'm like, oh my gosh, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry in the theater. I related to it so much. Another chance to dance with my father again. I did not realize the timing of the release of that song was right around the time when he had his stroke. So, insert story. My father also had a massive stroke. Luther Vandross had a massive stroke. The way they found Luther in his house by himself, they found my father in the house by himself. So when the song started playing, and then the story started, where by the time the song is successful and getting all these awards and winning Grammys, Luther is in the hospital. He's been in and out of comas, in ICU, all these things. It literally took me back to last August when my father was in ICU for 6 days, and like all of the journey that we went through, seeing successes. Oh, today he's moving, today he set up, today he did these things, and you're seeing the slow progress of health coming back and returning. But then the ultimate thing happens where they pass. I'm looking at the film and I'm like, God, I pay attention to patterns. So it being August, me loving music, me being able to see this documentary, me loving documentaries, me working on certain things that may include a documentary. I thought, God, what are you wanting to say to me? And literally when I walked out, I remember thinking like, this is the bolt. This is not the bolt that will hold you together, but it was like, it gave me an extra charge to keep going, because everyone has a story. Everybody's purpose. Everybody has things that they are here for. And hearing this, watching it specifically in August, when I don't even know how I'm going to feel when August 29th comes. But this gave me just a little bit more hope to keep living, keep going, keep creating, keep expressing, because being able to see the life and the times and the work of Luther Vandross in the way that it was put together, and the way people were talking about his artistry, his creativity, his mission and his purpose, it really empowered me to remember to tell stories, to remember I'm a storyteller, to grasp the fact that I'm a storyteller and I like to tell stories. And I was like, I gotta go home and share. Listen, when this documentary gets to the television near you, please set aside 101 minutes and watch this documentary. Like, when I tell you everything that is in me that loves music, that loves life, that loves art, creativity, has been ignited to create again, to tell stories, to be open. There are times when I do feel low and I'm like, I don't want to get into it. But I can never get away from being a storyteller. I can never get away from being a storyteller. I can never make the story short. I'm working on that. But when you get a chance, go see. If it comes to a theater, if it comes to a film festival, go see Luther Never Too Much. You can actually Google and see when it may be showing. I think there might be some television showings at the beginning of 2025, but there will be some limited theater showings coming up. So just Google and see if it's coming to your area anywhere. Again, I got a chance to see it through Trey McGriff of Sin Odyssey, who is going to be having a film festival in October in Charlotte. Support that if you can. Follow them. I'm going to tag them somewhere when I get a chance. But I got the chance to see it today. And I'm so grateful for the exposure to greatness in every way, shape, form, fashion, that is music, that is art, that is creativity. So that's my little share for tonight. I'm going to get ready for bed because it is late and I've been busy. Just may God bless you on all your endeavors and anything that you're doing, any gifts that you have. May God use those gifts to make room for you continually in ways that you have thought of, in ways that you've never thought of. And may He blow your mind with your own story and your own success. May you feel empowered to do everything that you've been put here to do. May you feel strong when it feels like, oh, it's a lot happening. May you feel just reignited with passion. May God continue to bless you. Have a good night. Go to church somewhere tomorrow. Maybe look at it online. But if you don't, that's okay. Pray about it. Anyway, have a good night and bye.